Hey guys, so originally this video was only going to be about how to track card cycle in Clash Royale, but I realized that would be way too quick of a video, so I also decided to compile a list of questions that you guys asked me in the comment section on my last video. So starting off here, what is tracking card cycle? Basically all it is every time you play a card in Clash Royale, right, it takes 4 cards to get back to the card you just played. So for example, if you have 2.6 Hog Rider, you played the Hog Rider, and then in order to play another Hog Rider, you have to play Skeletons, you have to play Ice Spirit, you have to play Ice Golem, and you have to play, I don't know, Musketeer. And then if you play those 4 cards, you're back to the Hog Rider. So it really is that simple of a concept. So now I'm just going to answer the rest of you guys' questions, and I'm going, at the end of the video, I'm going to play a game with P.E.K.K.A and show you guys exactly how to track card cycle in a game. So the first question is, what cards are important to track? And this is a pretty easy answer. I mean, of course, if you're able to, basically no one's able to, but if you're a super genius, you should track every card in their deck. But if you're not a super genius, all you need to track is their key defensive cards and their key offensive cards. And what I mean by this is, say for example, they're using 2.6 Hog Rider. You need to make sure that they don't outcycle you. So you need to count every time they play their Hog Rider, you need to count the 4 cards that they play next and make sure that Hog Rider isn't getting to your tower. But versus a lot of decks like Golem, for example, you're not really too worried about their key offensive cards. It's only with like Expo and like Hog Rider and like Quick Cycle decks you're worried about that. And then when you're tracking their key defensive cards, this is when you have, for example, a Quick Cycle deck. Really, you don't even have to do it that much if you have like a heavy beatdown deck. It's really only with Quick Cycle decks that you have to do it and try to outcycle your opponent by tracking their card cycle. But I guess also another use case would be with P.E.K.K.A. For example, if your opponent has Skeletons in their deck, it could be a good time to go Bandit at the bridge. If your opponent doesn't have Ice Golem in their cycle, it's a good time to go like Bandit or Ghost to the bridge. So like, you want to track their cards that are really just getting a positive elixir trade versus you on defense. And then say for example you have mini P.E.K.K.A in your deck. This is a really good use case. You can spam mini P.E.K.K.A at the bridge when they don't have their Ice Golem or their Skeletons in their hands. So you just have to keep track of the cards that are going to stop your offensive cards, whether that be a mini P.E.K.K.A, a Bandit, a Hog Rider, I mean whatever. Mostly you're keeping track of the answers to like your 4 elixir average cost cards. So someone here was also asking me for exercises to get better at keeping track of card cycle. I mean really guys, here's the thing, the more you play the game, the better you're going to get at it. It's literally that simple. Like there's no quick answer, and I almost don't even want to like recommend you guys to even try to get better at it, because it kind of takes the fun out of the game. It really does. Like if you're trying to be a pro player, I think you should do it. Like me, I'm just a really competitive person. And I also used to be like really addicted to Clash Royale, like not even in a healthy way, like unhealthily addicted to Clash Royale, and that's the only reason I got good at it. So I almost don't even recommend trying to get good at it. But like if you really want to, if like it's your dream to be a professional Clash Royale player or whatever, I don't know, or you just want to do it for fun, it's just like genuinely fun for you, then yeah, basically just play the game. And when you're playing the game, don't even worry about winning. Just worry about, like, think how much elixir do they have in their hand right now, and what cards are in their hand, and then watch the replay back and see if you got it right, and literally just do that until you get good at it. Like there's nothing else to it, or don't, because it doesn't really matter that much. Next question is, how do you fix card cycle? And really the trick to fixing card cycle is, first of all, you need to have a good deck, because if you don't have a good deck, you're never going to have a good card cycle. And that's one thing. Like if you're noticing your deck always has a bad cycle, chances are it's a bad deck. An example of this would be like P.E.K.K.A Bridgestream with Dark Prince. That deck, it's technically good, but it always gets a bad cycle when you play it. So that's kind of the problem with like that. Like that's why I always recommend you run Royal Ghost over Dark Prince, unless you obviously have a higher level Dark Prince. So yeah, tip number 1 is actually use a good deck, and tip number 2 is if like you really have a bad card cycle, then sometimes you gotta use the spam the bridge trick. You just gotta play a card of the bridge to fix your card cycle. I mean it really is that simple. And if you're running into the problem, I don't even know. Say your win condition is out of cycle with your support troop, or what's a good example? A good example is Sparky, okay? Sparky, Goblin Giant, a lot of times you can get a bad cycle. And the way you're going to get a bad cycle is if you use a defensive Sparky, but then you don't have Goblin Giant and cycle on the counter push. So in that situation, you'd want to try to defend without the Sparky so that you have Sparky and cycle with your Goblin Giant. So it really does depend on the deck, but that's like a good example of how to fix your cycle. So when and how to counter push. So when you want to counter push in Clash Royale is when you defended with a less elixir than your opponent used to attack you, or if you defend with even elixir and you have, like, I don't know, say you're using 2.6, they spend 6 elixir, you defend with a musketeer and ice golem, and you have a full health musketeer, then you're just going to want to throw a hog rider in front of it. But that really only applies to like quick cycle decks, or sometimes with, for example, golem. If you have lumberjack golem, if you defend with like Mega Minion Baby Dragon and you have them crossing the bridge, you can just throw a lumberjack in front for the rage effect. But most of the time, if you're having like a heavy cycle deck, you're not really counter pushing at the bridge. Instead, you're just resetting in the back. It's only if you have something like a lumberjack or a miner or a hog rider or something cheap that you're gonna actually counter push at the bridge and not just play your tank all the way in the back. What's a good mindset for top ladder? Well, it's not exactly how you worded it, but that's how I said it. A good mindset for top ladder is you have to be okay with losing. You have to realize that there's some games you're just gonna get hard countered and you can't get mad about it. And I say that even though I get mad all the time when I get hard countered. But like, if you're really trying to be a good player, or you're really trying to push high in ladder, you just have to accept the fact that you're losing and be okay with it. What you need to focus on is not playing bad, not making mistakes. If you lose a game, but you can't find a single mistake in that game, then you should be happy. You should be like, okay, my opponent just played really well. But if you can find a mistake, then try to fix that mistake and improve on it. And if you're playing games where you're literally not making mistakes, like ever, then you're going to be number 1 in the world. I mean, that's how it works. Even the best players in the world make mistakes. So if you can get to that point, then yeah, you're basically going to be a legend. And even when I say mistakes, like a mistake could be not attacking at the right time. So you got to look back at your games and think to yourself, for example, say your opponent has a hand where they have nothing to defend a mini P.E.K.K.A. Then you probably should have mini P.E.K.K.A the bridge with, for example, Hog Rider or Royal Hogs, and you would have got a ton of damage and a ton of value on their tower. So you have to like think like that also. It's not just like, did I make a mistake on defense? Sometimes if you rewatch your games, you can see, oh, I could have attacked here and they didn't have anything to defend me. Make a tutorial on how not to rage. Okay, guys, how not to rage. It's pretty simple. Just stop playing the game. Like literally just stop playing the game. If you're raging when you're playing the game, you're probably playing it too much. You're probably not taking it seriously. You don't need to be the best player in the world. You don't need to finish the highest on the leaderboard. Like personally, I've never finished number 1 in the world. It doesn't really matter. Like just have fun when you play the game, and yeah, don't take it too seriously. If you're not having fun, then just set your phone down, go outside, go for a walk, you know, go do your schoolwork. It's summertime, so you guys probably don't have schoolwork right now, but you guys get what I'm saying. Guys, it's actually really hard to find a game where elixir tracking actually, or card tracking actually matters. Like, in a lot of matchups, it just doesn't. So I tried playing P.E.K.K.A, and here's the thing about P.E.K.K.A that I noticed. It's not necessarily about counting 4 cards. It was more like whenever he played an Ice Golem, I knew that I could play Bandit at the bridge and that sort of thing. It wasn't like I was trying to count his cards so that I could outcycle him. So that is one thing that you can think about when playing a lot of decks. So instead I decided to play 2.6 because it'll be easier to like explain this. So I musketeer first so we can cycle to another musketeer, ice golem, kite, everything. And then you can see he spent like 15 elixir. I don't even know how much elixir I spent, but it was not as much as him. So I'm going with a hog rider at low elixir. And also he didn't have, in this matchup, I'm keeping track of his answers to my hog. What he has is a Lecture Wizard, which I don't care if I outcycle the Lecture Wizard because Lecture Wizard doesn't really counter push well, but I have to be really careful that I'm not hogging into his prince when he has his prince in cycle. So I'm just gonna musketeer first here so I can save my ice golem for his defense. You're gonna see, like in this matchup, I'm gonna also be saving my Well, you know what? I'm gonna cannon first. I'm gonna be saving my Ice Spirit and my Skeletons. Not all the time, but like a lot of the time for the miner. So a log. Kind of gonna mess up the log just a little bit. But it's okay. Play kind of a defensive Hog Rider. And you're seeing I'm playing that even though we're like on... Either I'm off a little bit elixir or we're even on elixir. It's okay because... Yeah, it was a defensive Hog Rider. Got some defensive value out of it. So I do need my Musketeer here to DPS that down. Notice he doesn't have the Prince and Cycle here. So, well, but either way, I can just go in. I have the, yep, he has to overspend on that defense, which is really good for me. I was hoping that would happen. And here he's not going to have Fireball and Cycle, right? So I'm going to play my Musketeer right next to the cannon. Gotta make sure he doesn't, like, prediction zap us. I log to keep all that alive. My Ice Spirit. And there we go. He has Fireball back in Cycle, so I'm not even gonna go. Yeah, and we win the game just like that. I don't even know, man. Like, it really is that simple. So, one thing I did notice when playing that I didn't explain earlier. So, when you have quick cycle decks, you're trying to outcycle their cards. So, this is when it's really important to count or remember exactly what they have in hand or exactly what defense they have in hand. When you have a deck like P.E.K.K.A., you're trying to you don't necessarily have to remember exactly what cards they have in hand. What all you really have to remember is if they just played their Ice Golem, then you know they're not going to have it in hand, and they're not going to have it in hand until 3 cards later. So you don't have to play your Bandits and Ghosts in the back. Instead, you can play them at the bridge. That's a good example. So hopefully this video was at least informative. I mean, with counting cards, like, it really is not as important as counting elixir. It's kind of like it only matters in a couple situations. It's not going to turn you from a bad player into an amazing player if you learn how to count cards. Like, it's only a little difference. But I'll try. In the future, I want to make like a quick guide to playing P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, and also like in-depth guides playing P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam. Then do that for like every deck in the game, or every deck in the game that I feel like deserves a tutorial explaining it. So in those videos, I will be able to further explain, like, when you're playing this deck, these are the situations that you should count elixir, and these are the situations that you should keep track of their card cycle. But like in a lot of situations, it's not gonna matter too much. So anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, learned something. Don't get addicted to Clash Royale. Play it a healthy amount. And anyways, Vulkan out.